Hey, what's up guys? I wanted to do a YouTube video for a while, so I figured why not do a YouTube video on my song Breakdown called Sunset, which is playing in the background right now. Hopefully this goes well. I've never really done one of these before, but I'm gonna let it play out a little bit so you guys get an idea what the song sounds like, and then I'll break it down. And really sorry about how disorganized this looks, but sometimes when you're feeling it, and you just want to put all the samples in the right place. You don't really want to worry about organizing anything. So I hope this sounds good. I'll only play it up to the drop, a little bit past the drop actually. But if you want to check it out, the song is called Sunset and it's released under Nomadic. If you guys want to, I can post the project file and I give it to you guys for free and check it out, see how I worked on it, see everything that I did. But yeah, check it out. It's called Sunset. Alright, without further ado, so I got really inspired when I heard this Martin Garrix song and Jay Hardway called Spotless. I really like the feel of that, so I kind of wanted to replicate the same feeling. And I did that by using the B major scale. So I had the DJ intro is what I first started out with. So this is just the basic for the build up drums, just to get the excitement going, get your blood pumping. And then it gets kind of into a build, and this build just gets a little bit faster. So if you guys want to hear what's part of that, here's the drop drums, I guess. I don't really know what else to call them besides just the drop, but it's such a cliche word. However, I'll show you what I used. So, of course, you gotta have the cashmere kicks, really punchy, and it worked really well for this song. Guys, don't be afraid to use loops. It really adds a lot of complexity to your song. And, sometimes you can chop them up, break them down, add different effects, and it can completely change the loop. Like this one, for example. I chopped up different loops, and I used an LFO tool. And then different effects, the stereo vibrato, and the auto pan to get it some unique sounds to it, which really added the complexity to the drums. And then some bongos, again some more loops, but altogether it sounds pretty good. And the decapitator, drum fattener too, really adds that punch to your drums. Like I said, I'm really sorry, very disorganized. I'm gonna try to get better at it. So here's the pad sound. And this is really just a chord progression that I made. And sometimes I just like to mute notes and see what it sounds like with the muted notes. And have some filters on all these pads. And it slowly builds up. I also have a sidechain kickstart. And this is the intensity of the sidechain. Here's the automated tracks. And, I like to layer my pads. Sometimes I just like to add a little bit of depth to the sound. But I use these sounds quite a bit. I like how they evolve. What did I use? It's silent. It's probably a patch that I found. I didn't really make these myself. Typically what I do is I try to find sounds that are about 95% of the way there, then I mess around with different knobs until it sounds the way I want it to. And it's a lot of trial and error. I also had some vocal chops. See, a lot of different effects. This is what it sounds like without all those effects. You can turn them off. Again, chopping samples can be really powerful. And then adding the different effects really makes it blend in with your mix. So auto-tuning it to make sure it's the right scale. And then little alter boy for the pitch informant. I just left it at default here, but I linked it and I messed around with the pitch a little bit. It adds that really interesting kind of fluttery effect. And then OTT to really bring out the highs a little bit, some sidechain, and then auto pan to put the stereo mix in. Just a little bit of ear candy. I use those vocals throughout the song a little bit more. What is this actually? Okay, here's the actual sample. And then I probably pitched it up, or pitched it down, yeah. I chopped it up a little bit, and then I transposed it. Okay, it's coming back to me. I haven't looked at the song probably like 6 months, but you can do some really cool effects if you go to clip, transposition, and make sure it's in complex mode. And show you guys really quick. I can add different pitches to it. You can make it smoother based off the settings that you have. So yeah, it can sound pretty cool. Mess around with that. A lot of really cool vocal features in Ableton. Audio manipulation, really. I think typically when I start my songs, it's very basic chord progressions. And then I take away from that, just see what it sounds like. So I listen to the chord progression. After that, I kind of import it to other instruments, and I know it's really sporadic here, but I import the chords to the other instruments and mute all the chords and start to layer different sounds on top of them. Like for example, this pluck, follow the chord progression, and I would listen to the chord progression and the drums playing. So for example, so I would just loop it, and then I would add different elements to it. So for example, here, let's say this is the chord progression, and I don't have anything in terms of the plugs playing here yet. So here's what the plugs sound like. They sound really good, but also very basic. So I want to press Control 0, or I mean just 0, to mute the song, the MIDI keys, and then I would start kind of listening to it, keep playing, and kind of follow the chord progression a little bit. And I want to get the rhythm going. So once I have a rhythm going, I can make it more complex. This actually sounds pretty good. But yeah, so that's what I would do. Once I like the rhythm, maybe bring in another instrument, and I would mute initial instrument, initial pluck, and then maybe find another instrument that sounds cool and put the first MIDI path into it. Call and response, I think. And it really makes the song flow. That's probably the biggest things that I've learned lately. It really makes it catchy and feels like it's connected. So that there's an example of that over there. But once you get close to the build, I started to introduce the main section to it. So this is really just the main lead. Main MIDI. I thought it sounded really good with the drums. So then what I would do is I would loop that main section, and I would start to add bass and And really I would just import a sub bass, which would also follow the main key of each chord. And after that, start to layer a little bit of bass, like MIDI or mids, some mid bass to it. So for example, it's exactly the same, but with a different instrument and pitched up one higher. So that starts to sound pretty good. Bring another instrument in for the bass to add a little bit more rhythm to it. So I do that until I feel like I'm satisfied. Sometimes I overdo it, that's for sure. But you can start to hear the main song start to form. After that, you start to think like, what else is missing? And sometimes it's just a little bit of ear candy, like the sample. And what this is a bounce of some of the other instruments that I used. I put a lot of reverb on it, and I reversed it. So I used one of my previous instruments with a ton of reverb and reversed it, and that really adds a cohesion to the song. Really makes it feel like it's one big song. Like it's supposed to be there. So then the next part of it, it's the same rhythm repeating, but I added a little bit extra going on with it, especially with the drums. The drums have a collapse in them now, and a little bit of the hi-hat. So just throughout the drop, I like to add a little bit of more complexity. You can just hear it as the song goes through, the progression of it. Same plucks. Oh, and I can't forget these. This is really what adds a good vibe to everything. So what this is the chord progression with sidechain on it, and it starts to sound pretty good. It almost sounds like a percussion, which flows really well with the drums. And then I added a few different effects, echoes, reverbs. I can't forget to tell you guys, like, everything is sidechained. I like shaper box because you can choose the frequency you want to sidechain to and leave the rest alone. I mean, it just depends on what you're trying to do. Sometimes you want heavy sidechain, sometimes you want more control. A shaper box gives you a little bit more control, but if you really want the fullest control, I mean, you can use utility, sidechain, compressor, and Ableton. So, keep going on. And just add a little bit more complexity. What I was telling you guys earlier, just a call and response. I don't think anything else really changed. I think I added a little bit more to the bass. Well, actually, no, I think I took away a little bit more from the bass. You really add the complexity with the drums as well. Give it a crash to make it feel like something big is happening. Oh, I always thought this was kind of interesting too. Going back to the percussion instrument, I found this really interesting sound. Oh wow, you guys can't see it on the screen. I have to figure out how to do that. It's Korg M1. The sound is B-What2. It's a sort of a percussion guitar instrument. And here's the chord progression. They're very basic, but if you arpeggiate it and add an auto pan, it sounds like it's just moving across the stereo. And then I bounced that out, just the audio track of it. Here's what that sounds like. I took a little bit of the frequencies away from it, added some effects. some side chaining to it to make it feel like it's pumping. And here's for more filters, really, that I just automated to taste. But with the drums, it sounds pretty good. It just adds the movement. I just really run into these instruments, testing them, looking for a different sound, and I hear something that really sounds good, and I'm like, maybe I can do something with it. Let's see what I can make. It's very subtle, but sometimes it's all you really need. And I have a trumpet. Which is from the Korg M1 again, with some reverb. And if you guys can see these channels right here that are not activated, deactivated, typically what I do is I test them out in different sections. I like to listen if they sound good together or not. A little bit of experimentation, and if they don't, I mute them instead of erasing them, just to see if maybe I might come back to it later. So I don't want to remove the information. But I mean, as you can see, this makes the project really disorganized because I have these deactivated clips literally everywhere. I gotta get better at that for sure, but I mean, it works for me. The only problem is when you come back and want to try to explain the project, it's a little bit difficult. So again, just follow the chord progressions, but I only chose different like notes. I didn't make it the full chord progression. I think it's the third of the chords, and I automated cutoffs. A lot of automation in this project, a ton. And I let the percussion drive the movement. I like to add different effects that you might not think about. Let's see what it sounds like without all these plugins. Yeah, just field recordings of birds. Yeah, it doesn't sound the best, but if you add the effects, it really adds a cool feel to it. Yeah, little things. You just sprinkle them throughout. I think what happens is I just go through my sample packs and find something that I like, add it in there. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then I remove it. I try to be kind of quick with it. Sometimes I get hung up on different sections. So as the song progresses, I like to add a little bit more variety, but still keep the same rhythm. Here we go, back to the Doge, which is very similar. I think what I added differently is like atmospheric sounds and the trumpet. Yeah, I thought this was kind of cool. Little effects that really add a lot. And what this was is a bounce of another sound that I added a different effect to. So this was probably bounced out 3 times already. And adds very little, but it really fills it up. So the drop is about the same as the first section, but with little things added to it. The elephant sound. There we go. And I think this was a bounce of one of these instruments, but reversed. Let's see. Yep, I arpeggiated it going up, and I just reversed it to make it feel like it's moving into something. I think for me, with these songs, the hardest part is getting the bass right. It's the bass and the drums. Just add the rhythm, the feel. But once I get the bass feeling right, then it's a lot easier for me to add the main elements to it. And they work together. that's it. That's definitely it. I know I missed a lot of different components to it, but I just wanted to give you guys a brief breakdown on it. Kind of what my projects look like sometimes, very disorganized, but I try to get better with it. So I keep making these videos, I'm sure I will. But yeah, guys, let me know in the comment section if you want me to put the project file out, and you guys can download it for free and mess around with it, see what I did, maybe add your own flavors, maybe take something away from it. The goal is just to learn and know how difficult it can be when you're first starting out, even when you're more experienced, to get inspired. But yeah, thanks for watching. Have a great day, guys.